Alright, hello, and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and let's open with a joke. Warren Buffett says he wouldn't buy all of the Bitcoin in the world for $25. However, he did invest in Nubank, which is a Brazilian bank that has listed a Bitcoin ETF. I'm pretty sure he owns shares of companies like MicroStrategy that hold Bitcoin on the balance sheet, and I'm also sure he holds Bitcoin mining stocks as well. So don't listen to what they say, follow what they do, I guess. I saw this and I was actually kind of stunned. Just by Bitcoin, it says Bitcoin Archive, never sell, the product gets better every day. And when I saw this, I was really taken aback because I sort of knew this intuitively, but I'd never really considered it, I guess. Bitcoin actually does get better every single day. Every single day, more people adopt Bitcoin. Every single day, the network gets stronger. Every single day, more computers, more nodes plug in. Every single day, more miners plug in and secure the network. Every single day, people are developing the code, developing the protocol. And every day the Bitcoin continues to survive and continues to exist and continues to work. It gets more and more reliable and more trustworthy, more and more accepted as the sound money that it is. And so I just thought this was interesting because initially I thought, well, what else gets better every single day? What can you buy that actually gets better every single day? And I sort of thought, well, maybe like phones or computers, they they release software updates, they improve upon themselves, not every day, but every now and again. But then I thought that's not really true, because if you own one of these devices, the battery life will die and decrease over time, and computers eventually get old and slow and need replacing. So yeah, if you know of anything that gets better every day other than Bitcoin, let me know in the comments. I'd be really interested to see it. Moving on. The markets are pretty scared right now. Sentiment is very beaten down. A lot of people I've spoken to are very bearish. Like, oh, Camel, I know you do stocks. Like, what do you think? Should I empty my pension account? Should I go to cash? People are really scared. If you've been watching my prior videos, you know that I'm not really bearish until we lose these lows. We're getting dangerously close now, and I do think that opening the lows, taking out the lows, opens up a lot lower. But sentiment is really, really beaten down. The Nasdaq has made another lower low, and the Dow is kind of holding up relatively well out of the three of these. But sentiment's really beaten down, and it's because the market is pricing in an aggressive Fed rate hike. People are selling down stocks and crypto assets because they're expecting this aggressive Fed rate hike next week. People are really scared about this, but what people don't, I think, understand is that we are getting incredibly close to the Fed having to pivot. I got this here from Macro Charts. Investor sentiment is at historic pessimism. In 35 years, only 5 other weeks got this extreme. 4 were during the 1990s recession trough / inflation peak, and 1 at the exact bottom of March 2009. So let's have a quick look at this. Sentiment is absolutely destroyed right now. And you know what happens when sentiment is destroyed? Especially in historic levels like we are at the moment. We typically find bottoms. So I'm not calling an exact bottom here. I'm not saying we can't go lower. I'm not saying we can't set a trap and then spring and recover. I'm open to everything, as you know. If you've watched a few of my videos, you'll know what I'm like. I don't really ever have an opinion. I just kind of say, well, maybe if this happens, then we go here, and maybe if we lose the lows, then we'll go lower. But one thing I do know is I'm good at not having an emotion in the market. I'm good at, I don't really care. I don't care what happens. I don't care if we go up or down. I really don't. It makes no difference to me at all. And so I'm good at looking at this and saying, people are really, really, really pessimistic right now. They really do think that the Fed is just going to completely destroy markets. But I don't really think that's the case. I think the Fed is close to pivoting. Can it raise rates more? Yeah, it can definitely do that. It can definitely do that 2, 3, 4, 5 more times. There's no knowing. It could do it 10 more times. Who knows? But I think what people aren't considering is the Fed has mandates for its balance sheet to debt ratio. The Fed has 30 trillion, over 30 trillion of debt that America has gotten itself into. And when asset prices crash, the Fed balance sheet shrinks because the Fed holds a ginormous amount of assets. It's like a third of GDP that the Fed holds is on its balance sheet. And when asset prices in the stock market and stuff tank, that means they will violate their mandate for maintaining a ratio between their balance sheet and the amount of debt they've got, and then they are forced to print. This can't go on forever. Can we go lower? Yeah, we can go lower. But we're close to a pivot now. We've already taken out huge chunks. If we look at the stock market on the S&P, the S&P down 15%. The Nasdaq from its high, currently down 23%. So can we go lower? Yeah, we can go lower. Of course we can go lower. But I think a little bit less pessimism and a little bit more objectivity wouldn't go amiss here. For now, we are still above the lows. We haven't made new lows on the Dow or the S&P. For now, we have got sentiment completely at historic lows. The 10-year yield has got a giant head and shoulders formation. This is peak yield and peak inflation staring us right at the face. This is all the Fed needs to pivot. It just needs to see one peak inflation reading and it can go, ha, we've done it. We've got inflation under control. It's peaked. It's peaked for this month relative to this month last year. Now we can ease off of the rate hikes. Now we can stop raising rates so aggressively. And what do you think is going to happen when they say that? What do you think is going to happen when the Fed turns around and says, we've got inflation under control? They haven't got inflation under control. We know that. If you watch this channel, you know they won't have it under control. But they'll come out and say, we've got inflation under control and we can stop raising rates so aggressively. And then guess what they're going to do? You know what they're going to do. They're going to do a dovish pivot and we're going to spool the printers back up, start propping all these markets back up, and everything is going to be bid to infinity and beyond. Bitcoin. Still sideways. Still sideways, still boring. But you know what I think? I think we're going to make it up into this box and then have a real decision to make. Bit of good news for Bitcoin. The network difficulty has just made an all-time high. What this tells you is miners are not concerned with the price action of Bitcoin. A lot of retail investors look at this and go, oh man, this is terrible. We're going at 10k, whatever else. A lot of people are really annoyed and scared right here. Their sentiment is really beaten down in crypto just like it is in the stocks. But this is telling a different story. Miners are not concerned. They're not concerned about plugging new equipment in to mine and to compete for the block rewards, even though this is as hard as it's ever been to find a block. This is as hard as it's ever been if you're a miner. But yet they are continuing to plug mining rigs into the network, and they are continuing to secure the network and to spend electricity in order to secure the network and hunt for these block rewards. Miners know best. They've always known best, and they would not be rushing in at all-time highs for difficulty to mine Bitcoin if they didn't think that there wasn't a sustainable floor in the price. Now, that is not me saying that we can't go lower. It's not me saying we can't lose these lows or these lows, but that's just me saying the facts are the facts. The difficulty is as high. The hash rate has recently just made an all-time high. There it is below. So the network is as secure as it's ever been. Competition is as fierce as it's ever been for Bitcoin mining. And that tells me that, just like here, in the stock market, the sentiment for Bitcoin is a little bit extreme right now. Perhaps a little bit overdone. Finally, I'll leave you with a little bit of food for thought. Got this from Dennis Porter. Are they holding back an American ETF? Spot ETF, I'm guessing this is what they're on about. So the insiders can buy up all the Bitcoin for cheap. Perhaps this is a little tinfoil hat. But then again, would you be surprised if you found out that this was the case? That they're going to keep delaying a spot ETF so that they can buy as much as they can, ready for, of course, when they release the ETF. And an enormous tsunami of money is going to flow into the Bitcoin market, because people will be able to buy spot Bitcoin in their pension accounts, in their stocks and shares, ISAs, trading accounts, traditional finance accounts, etc., etc. So I will leave you with this. Hope you enjoyed today's rant. I'm your boy Camel. subscribe if you're not already. Drop a like on today's video. Help me out a bit. And until next time, take care.